You ready?
Yeah, let's get it.
Hey, welcome to Two Times
Too many.
Yes, sir. I'm your boy, brother Tom to Mac. This is my guy.
P Moore, no days off. Parlay P, you heard.
Hey, listen, we here for another episode. We got a lot to talk about, Paul. This one, because I grew up a U fan. You feel me? Like I grew up loving the Canes. I grew up, you know what I'm saying, and we drafted him to my favorite team, the Ravens, and I got to see him win a Super Bowl. The best safety ever in the NFL. Hall of Famer, number 20, Ed Reed.
Ed Reed and Bethune Cookman, y'all. It's a hot topic right now. I mean, a lot going on. I would say there's a lot of he say, she say going on. It looks like there's 1, 2, 3 sides to this story.
So if you don't know, let's catch you up real quick. Just to make a long story short, Ed Reed was hired as the head coach of Bethune Cookman Private University at HBCU down in Florida. So Ed Reed goes there before he's fully under contract. He's working in the institution and he's coaching and recruiting and doing certain things. And he notices that certain facilities are not up to code, up to par. He voices his opinion about it, kind of goes on an Instagram live rant about it, which was highly scrutinized, gave him a lot of people criticizing him about it. Bethune Cookman decides to not ratify his contract and let him go. Ever since then, it's just been a complete uproar going on at Bethune Cookman. You got kids protesting, a lot of people going out talking about it, a lot of students protesting and doing marching and talking about it. You got a lot going on and a lot of people have been talking about it. So, P-Mo Parlay, what's your thoughts on this Bethune Cookman Ed Reed situation? Should he have been fired? Should he have not have been fired? Should he be acting in this way? Should he have not have been acting this way? What kind of points or thoughts did you take from this?
Well, there's a lot of layers to this situation. You kind of got to peel back, In terms of should Ed Reed have been fired, I mean, he did act, unprofessional, and that has consequences in the, corporate or professional world, right? So, it wasn't unforeseen that Bethune Cookman was going to make some type of decision, right? You can't really suspend someone if they're not on contract. So based upon the contract, negotiations not being finalized in the time it occurred, it makes sense for them to make a decision in the manner that they did, right? Now, what I would have liked to happen is them to fix it, but within the last hours, days since it's happened, a lot has happened on live television with the athletic director, the current interim president, and Ed Reed, and other media outlets discussing these, and there being responses from those 3 sources, along with the student athletes on the campus. In light of all those, I don't think a reconciliation is possible, to be honest. Us recording this live, currently on air, I don't think it's going to occur. I think Ed Reed kind of should start to focus moving on to hopefully another school or a way to assist Bethune Cookman indirectly, and maybe holding a separate position in the realm where you can help young black student athletes in that area or in Florida where he's from, right? Because a lot of that hit home for him. But I think going into the situation, you got to do your research. A lot of these things, it seems like the staff and administration may have gotten him aware of, may have not have. He allegedly visited, but allegedly didn't see all of the full circumstance that was there. So it's kind of like he tried to take Deion's blueprint and apply that instantaneously, right? Which you can't argue him for that. However, it looks like pieces of the puzzle were missing, and it looked like his response that he gave was more so out of frustration and emotion from someone that said something to him. But as the head coach, sticks and stones, we got to act in a certain manner, which I think Deion has been able to show that. And Deion is a completely different individual than Ed Reed, right? Ed Reed, let's just say Ed Reed uses profanity, Deion doesn't, right? Ed Reed is a lot more corporate and a lot more, celebrity gravitas than Ed Reed is. Ed Reed is kind of like, I'm going to be me, but I'm going to do me on the side. I'm going to let y'all do y'all.
He still got some of that rumble in him.
He got some of that rumble, right? He just left the game not too long ago, right? They're at different, points in their life, right? But Deion is able to take negatives into positives with a process a lot more fluid than Ed Reed is showing currently, right? I'm not saying Ed Reed can't hold a position somewhere, but there's a lot of things that he's taking to heart that he shouldn't be taking to heart, right? Because this has tremendous effects, not only on the children or kids, let's just call them student athletes down there, but he's also shed light to a lot of issues that not only Bethune Cookman has, but HBCUs in general, right? And we can call it, misappropriation of funds. We can call it, not having the proper fundraising. We can call it not just caring about the facilities. It's probably a mixture of all three, but I think the root comes down to, PWIs, their boosters and their alumni continuously and religiously fund money back into these school systems. And that is lacking with HBCUs. Now, other schools get funding from states and other entities, annually that isn't alumni. But that basis of having that reoccurring fund coming through people who have came through your school system and are funneling it back, i.e. top athletes, i.e. top celebrities, that percentage is highly diminished within our Black culture. And I think that is a point of, not only the Deion leaving Jackson State, right? I think he wanted to stay, but there were factors that he just didn't see solutions to. So he made moves to where he can create more solutions and can create bigger change, right? And a lot of people may have resented him for that. And I think the underlying issue is that if the Black people that are accumulating wealth aren't going to funnel the wealth back into where everyone says all these Black athletes should go, then I'm going to funnel it and I'm going to assist Black athletes in another avenue and another manner, is what I think Deion Sanders is doing. And I think Ed Reed said, okay, Deion, I'm going to take your blueprint and try to apply it here. But he just went at it with just the football headstrong mindset instead of the, strategic, philosophical mindset that Deion Sanders has, right? And I don't know if he was the wrong man for the role, but I think at this point it's in mayhem. He's going back and forth with Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp voiced some things, but I don't think he was overly harsh on Ed Reed. And again, this isn't a bash Ed Reed thing, because, at the beginning of this, I was a lot more so on Ed Reed's side. But in lieu of the responses, it just seems like Ed Reed is super highly emotional, which I don't blame him for, but it's just not going to end in a result. We have to, step and walk with emotional intelligence. I've been speaking a long time, but, am I making sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. When I look at it first, do I think Ed Reed should have been fired? Initially, I kind of thought no, but when I look back at it, yeah. Because as a head coach of a football organization and a program, you got to raise up young men to know how to deal with hardship in life. And he went through a hardship in life, and the way he responded. But one, it has not led to, for a young Black man, if you ain't Ed Reed and you respond to things the way Ed Reed did, you probably gonna wind up in jail.
You suffering in consequence.
You probably gonna wind up
like, ain't wind up in jail. He just
certain things.
Out.
Listen, I'm just saying.
You just gonna get fired.
At
a regular job, if you do what Ed Reed did, you're gonna get fired.
If you kirk out in the wrong situation and then somebody responds in a different situation, then as a Black man, unfortunately in today's society, it leads to a lot of negative consequences for us as Black men.
Correct.
I've lived it. You know what I'm saying?
Especially at a time where
things are emotional. So
and Black coaches are being hired or not being hired.
So I don't like the way Ed Reed handled that situation. So I think he should have been fired. But I appreciate him speaking out with the passion that he did, because you can show that he cares. And it's good to see somebody care about the kids and care about HBCUs. Because only thing I would say, if I could talk to Ed or say something to him, was to highlight your frustrations and emotions. But don't forget that what you're experiencing is not just an HBCU issue.
Mm-hmm.
What you experience is an issue within education, within the public school system, within private school system, within HBCUs, within PWI. Is an issue that you see within government. Is an issue that you've seen in families. Is an issue that you've seen within all organizations where humans are involved. Corruption. People do messed up stuff sometimes. That's period. That's life.
That's life.
Especially when money is involved. See, the thing that it gets highlighted more with HBCUs is because HBCUs are underfunded because of the corruption in all of these different organizations and areas. They underfunded because a lot of people, we don't trust the administration and staff because of their corruption, which they do have. So they don't give back. Then, like for instance, a couple years ago, we went marching. The Bruhs did a silent march because Gary Hogan cut HBCU funding in Maryland by like a couple $100 million.
Yeah, and that lawsuit just ended about $577 million. Could have been more if it wasn't for Hogan trying to delay things.
So this is we know that we're underfunded by corruption in all areas, and I would like that. Not only should we not just highlight the administration and staff that run these institutions, but highlight the underfunding that they're dealing with as well.
Yeah, correct.
Because that's an issue, and I think sometimes we like to harp on our people just a little bit too much, and then ignore everything else. Because I didn't hear him speaking about a lot of the corruption that we've seen in the NFL when he was in the league. There's a lot of corruption there too. Look, like you won a Super Bowl against Colin Kaepernick, and I ain't hear you talking about that collusion. You know what I'm saying? So be mindful of keep that same energy everywhere. So that's the only thing I would say. And I'm not exactly upset about him speaking out about it. It's just when you speak out about it, like if you really want to invoke change, let's not just, throw a tantrum about what's going on. Be passionate when you speak about it, but then use it to elicit help to bring people into the situation, into the conversation. Correct. And help this whole thing heal.
100%.
Because all I've heard is a lot of tearing down. Like you posting like 3 times a day on Instagram. Yeah.
And he could have just had an interview with
Listen
someone.
to these kids. And then like, which I appreciate that. Listen to the kids. Listen to them. And then also bring in people who can help them deal with their pain. Because right now, it's just highlighting a lot of pain and anger. And when, as a head coach, as a leader of men, the job is not to piss everybody off. The job is to use that anger and frustration so we can achieve our goal. So utilize it. Where are you pushing all this to, bro? Right. That's all I'm wondering. Like, what's the point?
His PR team or media team, he could have easily just had an interview and discussed the things that he has seen in the last 3 weeks in a manner that which would not have enraged the higher ups or executives or investors at Bethune Cookman. Right? Because, that's what I've seen Deion Sanders do. And I keep relating it back and forth, but it's really the topic at hand. People were mad Deion left Jackson State. Deion was doing a great thing and he left, right? He didn't say he was going to be there forever. Some people may have thought that. Some people may have not have. Some people may disagree with him leaving. Some people may agree. But one thing that he did and is still currently doing is his media and marketing tactics, right, are coming out where he's telling you the good, the bad, and the ugly. But he's doing it in such a way where there can be effective criticism. There can be opportunities to create assistance and create lasting assistance, right? Create more jobs, create more ticket sales, jersey sales. Instantly when he got to Colorado, those sales of season tickets went up. You call now, you on a waiting list, and they want you to make a purchase, upfront deposit to make sure that you actually have skin in the game to actually even be considered for the waiting list, right? So certain things like that are methodical, right? And they're not just impulse, emotional decisions.
They doing that? You gotta put down money down.
Call him and see. Call him and see.
Oh, boy, you a salesman. You sold that.
It's true. But that's neither here nor there. The question at hand is, or I think the next actions is, Ed Reed needs to. He's already formally apologized, but he needs to show that resentment, right? And I'm not saying this is that Kyrie situation. We got to do all these things to gain your job back, right? I think it's just best if you part ways, right? And if you were watching closely when Ed Reed did that live with all of the student athletes and all of the parents in the room, Deion Sanders pinged in on that live IG and just said, sometimes you just got to walk away. And I think right now that's the best thing to do so that he may have an opportunity as a coaching job elsewhere, but even more so potentially maybe a job where you're might not be specifically the head figure of an organization, where you're the head boots on the ground person / counselor or advisory person that is cultivating the individuals amongst the teams, right? Which I think Deion Sanders has that philosophy throughout everything he touches, right? And I think Ed Reed has the ability to do that, but he might just need to take the steps to do that, right? He hasn't really been, this would be his first head coaching job at a collegiate level. right? It's not like he's been 15 years coaching his children from ground up and been at every level of organization and saw how you have to go through certain hoops as a coach / father, right? And I'm not saying that, he has to be identical to Deion, but Deion's not new to coaching. And Jackson State might have been his first college job, but he had been coaching his sons for a while.
I mean, he know football.
I'm not saying they both don't know football. That's not the point I'm trying to make.
He know personality.
I'm trying to say, as a coach, as a figurehead, the politics and the corporateness that comes with being a head coach of a team for multiple years, going on from level to level to level, comes with certain intangibles that you might not have if you're a Hall of Fame coach that has all these accolades with playing the game, but not with actually coaching a set of group of kids from a certain age of point A throughout point B, right? I'm not saying Ed Reed doesn't help an assistant mentor and doesn't coach here and there, but he hasn't, like, as far as I know, been a coach for several seasons somewhere at any level.
Nah, he was the defensive back coach for the Houston Texans for a little
right,
bit.
I'm talking about head coach.
Oh, nah,
anywhere.
Head coach, nah.
Right, so this would have been his first, so it's a new territory for him, which he's navigating like he's just going on the defense and being a team captain. It's completely different, especially now in this day and age where you say something on social media, every little word is going to get dissected and anyone can take any route with it, right? Especially the people that write your paychecks or are negotiating a contract that's not ratified. So one, this is a business decision lesson. I don't blame him for going down there early. And I don't blame him for being upset at certain things, but I do blame him for his viral response and the impulse that it had and how quickly he just responded. He could have just set up like, yo, I'm going to get on a podcast with someone and I'm going to lay these things out. And it might get a little controversy, but it's going to be not as much to lose my job, right? Or not as much for them to not ratify my contract, or not as much for people to, shun the things, or for me to sound like I'm shunning the school that I'm going to.
Yeah, but the kids wouldn't have responded to a podcast like that.
Who wouldn't have responded?
I don't think the youth or the students at Bethune Cookman would. I think Ed Reed, whether he knows it or not, the way he went about it initially was strategic.
I don't think
and
so.
And it had a lot of impact. It's just he stayed in that place.
But
I think
the impact
a little
is more
too
like
long.
outrage. It's more like, I don't want to call it violent, but it's more like outrage instead of solution based. Right?
I mean, but that's
going out yelling outside don't handle nothing.
Sometimes I think
going out protesting with signs don't handle nothing. It never has. I only want to start on that topic, right? Those kids are still sharing helmets and they're still molding those locker rooms, and those kids protesting ain't changed a damn thing.
No, I wouldn't say that, because sometimes when you make a fuss and make a big stink, people pay attention. And the right people who can come change things pay attention.
I agree, but now
that's what I'm saying, that for Ed Reed, because if you look at the contrast that you was making between Ed Reed and Deion dealt with some, not the exact same things at Jackson State, but some similar things. And in press conferences, he made a big fuss and a stink. He didn't do it the way that Ed Reed did it. He did it in a more professional Deion type style. Made a big fuss, made a big stink, and then started reaching out, or certain people started reaching out to him to help because he's Deion.
He created that outlet, though, based on his
and that's what I'm saying,
marketing campaign.
Because of Ed Reed, the way that he came about it,
right,
and because it was so unpalatable to those who could actually assist.
It's unpalatable to more than not.
Yeah, it was very palatable to the students.
Right, but
to the students, they was like, that's exactly what I was feeling. But they don't have the power, the influence to actually help. The
students don't have no money.
They ain't got the bread. You feel me? Like, if you listen, it's something that I learned in sales a long time ago. The golden rule is those with the gold make the rules. And people with the gold, they will help and they want to come through. And I'm not talking like a skin color thing.
Yeah.
I'm talking about people who have the influence and the power within our own race, within our own people, or without, who have the ability to help and assist. They want you to package it up and make it look a certain way when you bring it to them. And Ed Reed ain't bring it.
So you can sell it to others.
He didn't bring it the way. And that's one of the issues that I have, because then it's just, that's why people are so upset. Like, well, you just down in HBCUs. Because you're not even using your power, your influence, and your position and your platform to frame it in a way where it can assist us. You're just going off about the situation.
Right.
And that's part of it, because I don't think he has a love for the kids, which is evident, but he don't have a love for the institution, which is also evident.
Yeah,
See, a lot of people like a lot of people that went to, like, when we were talking to the bros about this, a lot of bros went to HBCU, so a lot of people felt some type of way, because it's like, nah, like, yeah, we've seen the issues, but this is something that's ours, and we want to fix it.
Right.
We want to be a part of the solution, not the problems.
Right.
And right now, Ed Reed is just adding more problems to the problem.
Because again, the difference between him and Deion is Deion's interviews and hot takes and post-game conferences, they bring highlight to the situation that directly needs to be discussed, and where direct solutions can be mapped and planned out. Whereas though Ed Reed, most people are talking about, him and Shannon Sharp, him and the AD, him and the president. It's more talking about the he said, she said, and the responses to each other and behind the background than it is about actually these kids wearing helmets with mold in them and not having a locker room, which I heard the AD directly say they're sharing helmets, they don't have a locker room, they don't have showers. So a lot of things that Reed said was true that I heard the interim president say was false, right? So there is truth, but I also think the miscommunication and the disrespect behind it is a more underlying issue that is showing like we're bashing each other instead of trying to create some type of solution, right? And even if Ed Reed wanted his job back, you don't blast that around the internet saying that you're sorry. You go directly to the people and try to work something out, right? I don't know. It might have been too late when he posted it. It might not have been. But again, as I started this, I don't think anything can be resolved with Bethune Cookman. I think Ed Reed needs to just go on a, some type of platform and just officially make his parting ways speech and try to go into bigger and better endeavors.
Hey, that's it. Y'all heard it here. Tell us what y'all think, man. Like, leave some comments. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this page, and let people know. Tell us what you think about this whole situation. What do you think should have happened? How do you think Ed Reed should have responded? How do you think we should do, and what should we do as a people, as a community, as a culture to fix some of the issues that have been highlighted by Ed Reed when it comes to HBCUs? Let us know. Listen, once again, this has been another episode of Two Times Too Many. I'm your boy, brother Tom to Mac. This my guy,
P. More Par Lizzo.
Check y'all next time. Holla.